Is Jungkook's Tokyo fashion statement a tribute or a theft? The hat that set the internet on fire. Could a single hat bring down a pop icon's reputation? That's the question fans and fashion insiders are asking after BTS's Jungkook made headlines with his appearance at Calvin Klein's new flagship store opening in Tokyo. At first glance, it seemed like just another stunning fashion moment. Jungkook in all black, sharp tailoring, radiating star power. But then came the close-ups. The cameras caught it. The world noticed. The hat. A sleek, minimalist black cap embroidered in stark white letters. Shibuya, Tokyo, 5-24-2, Jingumai. At face value, it was a tasteful nod to the store's precise location in the heart of Tokyo's luxury district. A clever marketing move? Absolutely. A fashion statement? Without a doubt. But then came the allegations. A small but fast-growing group of fashion enthusiasts and designers on Japanese social media started posting side-by-side comparisons between Jungkook's hat and a local Tokyo-based designer's 2023 capsule collection. The resemblance? Uncanny. The format, font, and even placement of the embroidered coordinates were nearly identical to the now sold-out hat released last year by independent streetwear label Komore, known among local creatives for their guerrilla-style drops and location-based fashion pieces. So the question spirals deeper. Did Jungkook, global superstar, ambassador of a luxury brand, unintentionally wear a plagiarized design on the red carpet? Or was it worse, intentional, and Calvin Klein turned a blind eye in the name of marketable K-pop synergy? The debate has since exploded across fan forums, TikTok commentary threads, fashion subreddits, and even legal blogs. Screenshots of Komore's original design flooded Twitter. Fans split rapidly. Some defend Jungkook fiercely, arguing that the idol, as a brand ambassador, likely had no control over the hat's design, suggesting Calvin Klein stylists made the decision without his input. Others say that ignorance is no excuse, especially when dealing with independent art. The stakes feel higher because this isn't just a design, it's identity, it's geography. It's Tokyo's creative underbelly being mined and possibly repackaged by a corporate powerhouse with global reach. Behind the glossy facade of Fashion Week events and dazzling photo ops, a darker narrative begins to emerge. Are mega brands like Calvin Klein appropriating local creative work under the camouflage of globalized marketing? And what happens when the face of that alleged appropriation is someone as adored and scrutinized as Jungkook? To make matters more emotionally charged, Komore's founder, who only goes by the name Natsu, posted a cryptic Instagram story shortly after the Tokyo event. It showed a blurred image of the Calvin Klein store overlaid with the words, "They don't even hide it anymore." No names were mentioned, no tags, but the implications were clear. Within minutes, K-pop fandom pages picked it up, and the rest is internet wildfire. In a world where images travel faster than facts, the incident raises another uncomfortable question. When a superstar like Jungkook wears a piece of clothing, does it automatically erase the origin of the design? Are we watching art be commodified in real time, buried under the weight of fame? Calvin Klein has yet to issue a formal statement. A spokesperson for the brand declined to comment on ongoing speculation about stylistic similarities and reaffirmed their respect for original design across markets. Jungkook himself has remained silent, as have his representatives at Big Hit Music. That silence has only added fuel to the flames, leaving fans and critics alike to fill in the blanks with their own narratives, theories, and emotions. Some fans believe this is all being blown out of proportion. They argue that minimalist location-themed fashion isn't a novel concept. After all, brands from Supreme to Off-White have dabbled in urban coordinate embroidery. But critics counter that Komore's approach was more than aesthetic. It was a statement about urban ownership, culture, and identity. They weren't just printing coordinates for fashion's sake, they were mapping memory and belonging. As the fashion world teeters between inspiration and imitation, one can't help but wonder, if an independent artist yells into the void and a global celebrity echoes it louder, whose voice really gets heard? And who gets credited? Adding another layer to this unfolding drama, several fashion watchdog accounts have begun digging into past Calvin Klein collections to find other coincidences. One TikTok fashion analyst pointed out similarities between the typography used on Jungkook's cap and a 2021 Khmer sweatshirt that used the exact same font style and stitching. Conspiracy? Coincidence? Industry pattern. And while this battle rages in the digital sphere, something deeper is brewing in the hearts of fans. Jungkook, long regarded as the golden maknae of BTS, the pure-hearted all-arounder who could do no wrong, now finds himself, perhaps for the first time, in the middle of an authenticity debate. For some, the emotional impact is profound. Fans who identified with the underdog story of BTS now wrestle with the idea that their idol might be unintentionally benefiting from the struggles of an unknown creator. Will this storm blow over, or will it evolve into something more serious? That remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. In today's culture where fashion, fandom, and social justice intersect in messy, passionate ways, even a simple hat is never just a hat. Is this a case of unfortunate resemblance, or something more calculated hiding beneath the seams? And as Jungkook walks through Tokyo's neon streets, wearing what might be the most controversial accessory of 2025, the world continues to watch, question, and wonder. And perhaps somewhere in a quiet Shibuya studio, a young designer sits in silence, scrolling through the headlines, trying to decide whether to speak up or let their work speak for itself. In the days following the Tokyo event, the storm surrounding Jungkook's now infamous hat refuses to calm. Instead, it grows, drawing in more voices, more evidence, more confusion, and more pain. What began as a passing observation on a fashion blog is now being dissected by cultural critics, K-pop historians, IP lawyers, and everyday fans whose emotional investments have been shaken. The question has shifted from whether this was a case of plagiarism to something far more volatile. What does it mean when culture is borrowed without permission and the original creators remain invisible? The silence from Calvin Klein and big hit music has become deafening. Every hour without a statement is another hour of speculation. Fans are no longer just debating aesthetic similarities, they're examining time-stamped releases, font licenses, even geotagged metadata on old Khmer Instagram posts. A group of Japanese creatives have started a campaign with the hashtag #RespectLocalDesigners, not directly naming Jungkook, but making the message painfully clear. There's a power imbalance in play, and this is not just about fashion anymore. Meanwhile, TikTok edits featuring slow-motion clips of Jungkook at the event, layered with melancholy low-fight beats and captions like, "When your idol unknowingly wears someone else's dream," are going viral. Others defend him fiercely, arguing that blaming Jungkook is misdirected outrage. They insist he's being used as a scapegoat in a much larger issue of fashion industry ethics, an issue that long predates his involvement. "He's just the face, not the hands," one fan wrote, and that phrase now echoes in forums like a mantra. But does being the face come without responsibility? In a surprise turn, a Reddit post titled, "I interned at Calvin Klein Tokyo last fall, here's what I saw," was posted anonymously and quickly upvoted into the thousands. The poster claimed that the creative team had been researching hyper-local Japanese fashion brands for months before the flagship store launch. The user alleged mood boards filled with screenshots from underground Tokyo designers, some with blurred names, some not. The post has not been verified, but screenshots and cached versions are now being analyzed by content detectives and digital sleuths who see it as a potential smoking gun. As if the situation couldn't get any more tangled, archived footage from a 2023 BTS documentary resurfaced in which Jungkook is seen sketching hoodie designs with coordinates referencing the band's studio in Seoul. Fans claim this shows his love for geographical motifs isn't new and might actually make him more sensitive to the meaning behind such details. If he knew what that hat represented to the original designer, would he have worn it? Would he have agreed to be styled in it? Jungkook's past comments on originality have also been put under a microscope. In a 2021 interview, he spoke earnestly about the fear of repeating what's already been done, about wanting to be an artist that brings something new. He had said, "I always worry about copying, even unconsciously. Sometimes I see something and I think, did I see this before or is it mine? It's scary." That old quote now feels like a haunting prophecy in the context of this current mess.
This isn't just a fashion controversy anymore. It's a cultural firestorm. It is becoming a moment of reckoning about how big names, whether they mean to or not, can eclipse the work of others with a single photograph. And it leaves behind uncomfortable truths about the speed of fame, the silence of corporate PR, and the fragility of creative ownership in the digital age. Yet perhaps the most heartbreaking part of all this is the emotional toll it's taken on the people who believed in something bigger than celebrity. For fans who see Jungkook as more than just a singer, for those who found pieces of themselves in his journey from a small-town teenager to a global icon, this scandal feels personal. It's a crack in the perfect image, a moment of doubt in what was once blind faith. On the other side, in the underground corners of Tokyo's design scene, whispers have turned to roars. Young designers have begun sharing their own stories of being overlooked, undercredited, and even flat out copied by larger brands looking for edgy local authenticity. Natsu, the elusive founder of Komude, has remained relatively quiet after the first cryptic Instagram story. But yesterday, a post appeared on their website, a black background, white text, reading only this: "I designed that hat. You know it, they know it, he knows it." No images, no logos, no further explanation. The post crashed the site within 20 minutes. It was shared across Weibo, X, formerly Twitter, Threads, and Discord servers by the thousands. Some say it's poetic justice. Others say it's dangerous, pointing to the rabid factions of fans who are now trying to dox Natsu, accusing them of chasing clout. Where this goes next is anyone's guess. Will Calvin Klein issue a statement? Will Jungkook respond? Will Komude sue? Or will this entire episode be swept under the rug by a week's worth of new scandals, new releases, in the ever-churning machine of internet virality? But the bigger question, the one no headline has yet dared to truly answer, is this: when inspiration becomes exploitation, where do we draw the line? Who gets to claim culture in a world where image is everything and credit is optional? Perhaps that's why this story refuses to die. It taps into something bigger than fashion, bigger than fandom. It reminds us that even in a world obsessed with appearances, there is still a hunger for truth, for fairness, for recognition. And until those things are delivered, the hat on Jungkook's head will not just be fabric and thread. It will be a symbol, a mirror, a question.